Hello everybody, welcome to this webinar on the basics of Zoho Survey. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Miles Vivek. I am a user educator in Zoho, and this session will cover what Zoho Survey is all about, as well as a short demonstration on how to create, design, and publish a survey. We will also cover the basics of reports. This is a pre-recorded webinar, but if you have any questions while the webinar is going on, feel free to ask them through the chat window that's available in the webpage in the right corner. Our team is on standby to help you. So let's get started with a little background on Zoho and Zoho Survey. So Zoho was founded about 19 years ago. We are known for our suite of online products ranging from email services to marketing and HR apps, all of which help businesses all over the world operate. One of the various tools we provide is Zoho Survey, a great tool to explore the opinion, needs, and expectations of your audience. With Zoho Survey, you can build and distribute surveys, collect responses, and review the results all online. With Zoho, you don't have to be at your desktop all the time. You can access our products from anywhere, from almost any mobile device. As mentioned earlier, some of the things you can do with our online survey tools are build surveys, distribute surveys, collect responses, and review results. Let's go through them step by step. First, we'll be looking at creating a survey. There are three ways you can create a standard survey. Create it from scratch by selecting blank survey, or using one of our many survey templates, or using an existing survey, the one that you have already created. To get started, just choose an option and give your survey a title. Let's start with a blank template. Enter a title for your survey in the space provided. We'll call it Basic Webinar Satisfaction Survey. Click Create Survey, and this will take us to the Survey Builder. Here we have 5 tabs: Editor, Settings, Themes, Integrations, and Launch. Let's start with the Editor tab, where we can create and edit our survey questions. There are more than 25 question types to choose from. Each of these question types have additional features largely dependent on their type. For example, some options allow you to make the question mandatory or randomize the answer options. I'll create a few questions now to show you how it works. For starters, I will create a single text box question asking for a name. The answer is not mandatory and no hints are necessary. I think the text box size is reasonable at 30 characters, but I could change it to be anywhere between 10 to 100 characters. 30 characters is the default. We will be talking about what the autofill option and the insert variable mean and how it works in the advanced webinar. Now I'll save this question and you can see it appear here. For the next question, let's use the email text box to ask for our respondents' email addresses. The advantage of using this instead of the single text box option is that if your respondent doesn't enter a valid email, an error message will be displayed. Let's make this question mandatory. I'm keeping the default error message, which will turn up anytime this question isn't answered. Now we click Save. And let's add another question, and this time it's going to be a multiple choice question saying, did you watch the webinar? With options yes or no. Now let's make the questions more interesting. I'll be using a matrix choice with one answer per row. For the question, I'll say, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate your satisfaction with the following aspects of the webinar? Now for the role choices, I'll be asking about the contents of the webinar, quality of the presentation, and speaker. I hope the speaker option will be a perfect 5 from all of you. The column choices will range from 1 being very dissatisfied to being very satisfied. Let's save this now. And the next question will be a typical rating scale question, but from 0 to 10 instead. On a scale of 0 to 10, how was your overall satisfaction with the webinar? And this question will be mandatory. And the labels will be very unsatisfactory and very satisfactory. And for the final question, let's use the multiple lines question type. Please leave any further comments or suggestions you have here. And this question shouldn't be mandatory, and the text box size looks good to me at 5 lines with a character width of 60. So I'll just go ahead and save it. Now the survey is almost ready, but there is something else I can do here to make things more dynamic. If a respondent chooses anything below 5 for the overall satisfaction, I need to know why. So let's put in another question. This will be a multiple lines question between the fifth and the sixth question. And I'm going to write, "We are sorry for your experience. Please elaborate on what you didn't like about the webinar," and click Save. Now, the difference for this question is that we're going to add question logic so that it will only appear if a respondent gives a rating less than 5 in question 5. And to do this, I should go to the fourth question and click the Advanced menu and choose Add Logic. Now, applying logic in a survey can define how you want your respondents to move through your survey. You can get focused and relevant responses by adding if and then logic gates to your questions. So for the if the answer drop down, I'm going to select less than, and in the second drop down, I will select 5. This way, if the question's answer is less than 5, then I can choose to move to another page if there are multiple pages, or choose show option to show questions that I've selected. I'm choosing to show a question, which will be the fifth question. "We are sorry for your experience. Please elaborate on what you didn't like about the webinar." And I'm going to click Save. So you can also take the respondents to a disqualification page if the survey doesn't apply to them. For example, we can go to the question, "Did you watch the webinar?" and choose Add Logic, and configure it in a way that if they click No, then pick Continue to Page, and then disqualification page. There's also an option for page logic, which can be used if you have multiple pages and want the respondent to be directed to, say, page 3 after they answer all the questions in the page. To add pages, all you have to do is click the plus icon. You can put in a page title and description if you like, but it's not required. This survey now has all the questions and is pretty much ready to launch. Let's check it out with the preview option. So everything seemed to be working fine. If I select 4 or below for this question, a new question pops up asking why. So that's perfect. And now that we can actually see it in action, I think the title is a bit off. Something smaller would do a bit better. And the design also could be improved as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to head over to the Settings tab. And in the Settings tab, the first thing you will see are the survey's header settings. From here, you can add or change your logo and set the title. Adding your brand's logo to your survey page is a great way to improve brand recall. You can upload your desired logo by clicking on Browse. You can upload a file from your computer, use a URL, or use one of the logos you previously uploaded on another survey. For the survey title, you can either use your survey's name or change it to something else. I mentioned earlier that our respondents might find the survey title a little specific and confusing, so I'm going to change it to Webinar Satisfaction Survey. That sounds better. Now, down the page a little bit, you can find navigation options. From here, you can enable the back button, add a progress bar, which will be useful when you have multiple pages on your survey. And you can also add numbers that can also be shown for each question in your survey. And there is an option to enable CAPTCHA as well. If you enable a CAPTCHA, bots will not be able to access your survey. You can also rename the navigation buttons as needed. At the bottom of the section, there is an option to change the survey's language. With this, you can set the default language for error messages that are shown to your respondents. There are over 70 languages to choose from. And in the footer section, you can turn off the Powered by Zoho Survey footer text by using the checkbox. And at the bottom of the Settings tab, you will find options to set up a survey end page as well. This is the page your respondents will land on once they finish their survey. You can choose to show a specific text, a new web page, a report of all the responses that have been submitted, or even just an overview of their own responses to the survey. If I want to send respondents to a specific page, if they rate their overall satisfaction with the webinar let's say higher than 7, I can do that here. By default, your respondents will be redirected to the page that you set up as your default thank you page. I'm going to choose to go with the default thank you page for the survey. You can also set up the disqualification page for your survey here. Choose the message you want to be displayed to them or redirect them to a different page. As I mentioned before, this page will be shown to the respondents who do not qualify to answer the survey. So now that we have set up the survey, we need to design it better. So when you send out your survey to a larger audience, it is important to make it look appealing. To help you do that, we have fully customizable themes. You can click Edit or click the big plus icon to customize your theme. You can set everything from the color scheme and font, the background. Once you're done making your changes, you can click Apply and you can name your theme and it will appear in the My Custom Themes section. You can now use this theme for every survey you create from your account. Let's have one final look at our survey with the preview option. So our survey now has a logo. It looks much better than our first iteration, and it also works great as well. So it's almost time to launch, but first let's check out the integrations tab real quick. Zoho Survey integrates with Zoho CRM, Zoho Sheets, Google Sheets, and Sales IQ. You can see your survey responses in your CRM modules using the Zoho CRM integration. Our Google Sheets and Zoho Sheets integration will sync Google Sheets and Zoho Sheet with your survey, so every response you receive will be updated on your Google Sheet and Zoho Sheet respectively and immediately. Our Zoho Sales IQ integration will help you track visitors who revisit your website through their name and email address. We will be talking about these integrations in detail in our integrations webinar. All right, it's time to publish our survey. So let's go to the Launch tab and click the Publish button, and that's it. Now you can share this web link and start getting responses. And you can click Access the Survey to see the live version of your survey. There are quite a few ways to reach your respondents and a lot of different ways to restrict your responses as well. First, let's look at the ways you can reach them. The simplest way is to use the web link. So you can copy and paste the web link into your email message and send it to your respondents, or simply share it on your favorite social media website. Anyone who uses this link is taken to a web page with the survey. Email distribution helps you send your surveys linked to your email list within Zoho Survey without having to switch a tab. You can find out more about this feature in our advanced webinar. We provide ways to restrict and manage the way you collect your responses. For instance, you can change to only show your survey to members of your organization with the visibility options. This feature is useful for people who have registered as an organization with Zoho. You can refer to the advanced webinar again for a more detailed look into this feature. Another way is to embed the survey on your website. You can simply insert the HTML, JavaScript, or iframe code we have listed here into your website's code to see it embedded. You can also access your survey from a device without internet connectivity with the help of the offline survey feature. The Buy Responses feature helps you expand your reach to connect with qualifying respondents to collect responses. Learn more about this feature again in our advanced webinar. If you need to send your survey to a lot of people, we suggest using the Campaigns option. Zoho Survey is integrated with Zoho Campaigns and MailChimp. You can link your survey with these accounts and send it to your contacts via an email campaign. If you'd like a more detailed explanation on how to use campaigns, you can sign up for the integrations webinar, not the advanced one. Another way to reach out to your audience is through social media. Our Facebook integration will enable you to embed your survey on your Facebook page. You can now see the list of all your Facebook pages in the Launch tab. You can just select the page and click Post to post the survey. So, just to recap, there are 7 ways you can collect survey responses using the web link, email distribution, embedding your survey, collecting them offline, buying responses, using Zoho Campaigns or MailChimp, and posting it on your Facebook page. Also, restrictions allow you to limit responses by setting a survey end date for collecting responses, as well as the maximum number of responses you want to receive. You can also prevent the same person from answering the survey multiple times by allowing only one response per device or unique URL and allow your users to update their responses. Let me show you how that works. First, you should set a parameter name, preferably something with unique information. And here I'll be using the name field. Now, when I send the URL to a respondent named Patricia Lungman, I hope I said that right, I'll be sending it with the parameter question mark name is equal to Patricia underscore Lungman or Langeman. You get it, the last name added to it. This way, if they try accessing the link again, they will either see a message saying they've already answered the survey or the results of the survey they answered, depending on whether you have selected the option to allow user to update responses at any time. You can also make it so that your respondents cannot answer your survey without the necessary URL parameters by checking this box. A common question we get about this is whether you have to type out your recipient's names every single time you send an email. If you use Zoho CRM, Zoho Campaigns, or even MailChimp, you can program it to autofill these details when your campaign emails are sent. We will be covering those details in our integrations webinar. Now, on to security. You can password protect your survey to ensure that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands and only distribute the password to those you want to answer the survey. Click Enable and type the password into this space. Customize the messages that are displayed when requesting the password and when the wrong password is typed in. And when you're ready, click Save. Once you're done collecting responses, go to the Close Survey section and click the button. After confirmation, your survey will be closed. Anyone who tries to access your survey will be shown the message you have set in your Settings tab. I've set the message for this survey close page as the default "Sorry, this survey is closed" message. The other feature we haven't mentioned yet is the collectors list. You can use different collectors for different sets of respondents. We'll be talking about this feature and its applications in the advanced webinars. So once you have sent out your survey, the responses will come pouring in. This is where the report section comes in. However, we just created the survey, so there aren't going to be any responses yet in this survey. So I'll be opening up a report for a survey we ran a while back on our logout page. So our advanced reporting tools and filters will help you analyze your survey results, and you can see them anytime after your survey is published. There are two ways to view reports: summary responses and individual responses. Summary responses allow you to view the summary of your responses as a whole or on a daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly basis. You can create custom reports. They will be listed here. You can switch between them anytime. The report will give you the total number of survey visits as well as the number of completed and partial responses. You can filter them out by using the filter drop down here. By default, the summary of responses will be in a chart form, but you can click the display option to select how you want to view your data. Basic statistics have been added into the reports like mean, median, variance, and standard deviation, also known as the central tendencies, which is a basic part of every statistical analysis performed. You can export the reports of each question as an image or a PDF. As for the whole report, you can export it in XLS, CSV, and PDF formats, or open it in Zoho Sheets. If you would rather have a printed version of your report, simply click the print icon to print it out. With the individual responses option, you can find out the details of each response and their corresponding respondent, such as when they started filling the survey out, and the IP address, and how much time was taken to answer the survey. It will also show you each responses made by an individual participant. you can filter the responses here too. And it works exactly like it does in summary responses. Additionally, you can filter out by date as well. Export the response as a PDF or print it out using the export to PDF and print icons respectively. Reports offers many more features such as customizing your reports and also helps you create custom filters, custom reports, and trend and cross-tab reports. You can share, schedule, and delete your reports when it suits you. Those features will be covered in our advanced features webinar. And finally, we have the dashboard section. This section shows you everything you need to know about your survey. It contains the consolidated summary of a survey. It shows you when the survey was created, last modified, published, and when the last response was collected. It also provides information of how many visits the survey had, how many responded, and a trend of the response volume. You can also see how many questions and pages have been created and what those questions are. You can quickly access important information regarding a survey without digging too deeply into any section. This section is pretty nifty if you want quick information about your survey. So finally, we have come to the end of the webinar on basics of Zoho Survey. We have seen how you can create and design your survey, the various ways you can collect responses, and how you can view the responses you have collected through reports. And of course, these are just the basics of Zoho Survey. We have 2 more webinars coming up. The Advanced Features webinar will cover all the advanced features, such as custom variables, sharing and portals, advanced reporting options, and more. The Integration webinar will explain how you can get the most out of Zoho Survey's integrations with Zoho CRM, Zoho Campaigns, Zoho Sales IQ, Google Sheets, and MailChimp. As for the survey I created in this session, it is live now, so I'm going to send it over to you guys. So please go ahead and give us a feedback on how we can improve our webinar at this link. And I believe you have got all your questions answered through the chat window in the webinar page. If not, feel free to write to us at support@zohosurvey.com and our experts will be happy to assist you. Again, my name is Miles Vivek, and I will see you soon in our advanced and integrations webinars. Until then, stay awesome and be happy. Bye-bye.